Hello, guys. Today I am meeting with this beautiful lady, Nadya Lubich. Hi, Nadya. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. It's great to have you here today. And just to give you a little bit of the story between Explore Russian and Liden and Denz. So, a year ago, when I moved to St. Petersburg, I visited more than 10 language schools in order to determine which one is the best. Okay, so I attended classes of all levels. I interviewed teachers. I also spent times with the students to come up with the best school for those who are learning Russian. Uh, and in the end, I decided that Liden and Denz is this school to study Russian in St. Petersburg. Uh, I was impressed, by the teachers, the whole team there, people like Nadya, the friendly atmosphere, okay, which is my opinion is the key, Nadya. If you want to learn effectively, you have to feel relaxed, to minimize stress and let yourself go, like enjoy, okay? So a year ago, we did 3 videos with Liden and Denz, and if you haven't watched them, guys, please have a look in the description. Nadia, you also remember that we did a video with you in which
Well,
you,
I do.
yeah, in which you interpreted Turgenev. Помнишь? Yeah,
A bit of it, not the whole Turgenev, but just a couple of lines. But
and
are very important lines for everyone who is either Russian native or studies Russian.
exactly. People loved that video. It was very nice with some nice music background. They loved it. So now, today, I'm meeting you again as part of my new course for those who want to visit Russia and want to study there, to live in Russia. So you are going to answer questions now, questions of my subscribers here on
Okay.
Explore Russian. And also, before I start with you, pay attention to this, guys. Liden and Dance will make you, they will make a discount on the normal price for all of you that you quote Explore Russian and my name. Okay, so bear that in mind before you take lessons at that wonderful school. So, uh, first question by Lily Clapham, London. Why Liden and Dance and not any other school in St. Petersburg? Beautiful question. It will give you the opportunity to give us information about the school and what you do there.
Sure. Well, first of all, the school is the oldest in St. Petersburg. We've been operating for 25 years now, and that obviously means that we have a lot of experience teaching students with different motivations. Over these 25 years, we've seen students who have been studying Russian to be diplomats in Russia. We've seen students who just studied Russian for fun as their hobby. We've seen students who studied Russian to be able to attend the Russian universities. We've seen students who learn Russian to be able to communicate with their spouses from Russia or Russian-speaking spouses. So that means that we can really provide the necessary training for almost any imaginable situation or any imaginable motivation to study Russian. And of course, that all comes together with, well, 25 years experience in actual teaching. So there have been methods and approaches that we created within our school, that our teachers created over years and years of teaching students. And with some grammar issues, that's important because if you are trying for 25 years to explain what the verbs of motion is, what the concept of it is, then eventually you come with a brilliant explanation that saves time for both you and the students. And that comes with time, of course. Then for the other thing is the location. Angelos have been to our school. You know where it is located. It's like a step away from Nevsky Prospect, which never sleeps, but on a quiet street that, well, make you feel good because you are right in the center of St. Petersburg, which represents a lot in Russian culture. And then you are here, right in the middle of it. Then the school is, well, the street is quiet, so it does not distract you from studying. But once you finish, you are right in the center. You can practice your Russian. There's an access to all the cultural germs of St. Petersburg right on our street. We have like 4 theaters, Philharmonic Hall, 2 museums, major museums, and then we have crowds of people so you can start practicing Russian straight away. And of course, the travel time from all the accommodation provided by the school or all the accommodation you can possibly book yourself, it will be very easy. It's usually a walking distance. Another thing about the school is that although we have a very good academic background of our teachers, they are young, energetic, and they don't have this professional burnout. That's actually my job, to make teachers happy, to assign the right teachers to the right students, to rotate teachers so that they don't get bored with the group and the group doesn't get bored with them. So the teachers are always at the top form. They're not bored of teaching. They are really happy to teach, and it adds to the quality of teaching. Not talking about the methods, but also the quality of teaching, the mood that you enter the class. The teachers are not depressed when they enter the class, they're happy. Another thing, for me, it's maybe not that important, but a lot of people really, we can see the positive feedback from our students that the building itself is very modern. It was renovated from scratch. It's a 19th century building that was turned into a 5-star business center, we call it in Russia. So it's comfortable, we have good ventilation, it's never stuffy, it doesn't smell weird, it's light, we have a lot of light, unfortunately not now in November, but we do, daylight. All the classes are equipped with Apple TV, so the teachers and students both can use it for some extra practice in, watching movies, describing images, things like this. And of course, the school has a fast-speed Wi-Fi. Of course, the school has all the other amenities you can think of in a 5-star business center. That adds to the quality of teaching as well, because it's comfortable. The classes are spacious enough for the groups. I mean, the maximum size of the group that we do is 12, and the classrooms are spacious enough. And then, on the other hand, we have smaller classrooms for the individual one-to-one lessons. So altogether, it's good. Another thing about the school is that I think it's different from other schools. At least it's different from the language schools that I visited myself as a student.
I guarantee that.
We don't keep the distance between teachers and students. We want our students to be our friends, and we want to not only teach them Russian, but also to serve as guides into real Russian lifestyle. That's why our teachers are the best source of information, like about things to do if you're local. You can ask a teacher about their recommendations for dining out, and you can be sure that you will get a really personal, really good advice on that. And then teachers also, we encourage students to get together, like students get together, get to know each other and their classmates, but we also find the ways to help students feel comfortable in a city. Like, for instance, we go out a lot together with the students, the teachers and the staff. Of course, say last week we went supporting the Swedish national team playing against Italy to go to the World Cup in St. Petersburg. There were wonderful 2 nights. Swedish students, Italian students, other students, some teachers all come together. And another ideas is like cooking classes they do together at the teacher's place where the teachers live, and quiz nights. We go quiz nights. We go for different field trips. Sometimes it's organized by the school. Sometimes it's just, it's the initiative of the students or the teachers. And this makes the atmosphere here really comfortable. I mean, we always have conversational topics to discuss in the morning in the class when we need to do this, warm up, small talk. We always have topics to discuss because we are friends with our students, and we know a lot about their life, and the teachers are ready to share their own experience, just real life experience, and this helps not only like personal attitude in a class, but also that gives you that vocabulary you need for real life situations. Because if you just study by textbook, sometimes there's nothing that might help you when you just go outside of the school. And then when teacher shares his experience with his own teenage kids or younger kids, and then that's a topic of a discussion, then it makes it's more, well, it's language centered, of course, but at least there's a real life topic to be discussed in the class.
Exactly.
And the last, but not the least about the school, what's our unique thing, and we're really proud of it, is our in-house textbooks.
I know.
We have 2 textbooks. This one, yep. Teachers, students from level complete 0
yep.
to level A1 plus, and covers about 180 contact hours, like classroom hours. And then there's another book, this, that covers A2 to A2 plus, and also has about 150 contact hours. These are books written by our faculty, so they accumulate all that experience, the teaching experience, and also the knowledge that's used in our school. So if you are a beginner or you are targeting A2 plus, there's a 100% chance that you'll be taught with these books. And this is a nice experience. Of course, we're open for any feedbacks, but for us, the teachers, that's a good help. Mm-hmm. And we love the books because we've made them ourselves. And the students also appreciate them. They find them really real life situation books. And of course, they are in line with our communicative approach. So we don't want you to drill the grammar table. We want you to get the grammar that you need out of real life dialogue or real life situation, or just looking at the image. You understand what's going on, and then you kind of take the grammar out. Then you know how to use it. And then, of course, the teacher explains other situations that are applicable for this grammar. Mm-hmm. Once you're done with this is a concept of the books in general. Once you're done with the very basic grammar that will help you in some basic situations, then you go on to another level. You have kind of the same situation, but more complex grammar and more complex ways of expressing what you really want to say. And this is all in our books. So this is another unique thing about our school, because we use these books, we wrote them ourselves, and we're happy with them. And our students are happy too.
Fantastic.
So that's more or less about the things that are so good about us. And that's why Liden and Denz is definitely top school in St. Petersburg.
It is, Nadya. I mean, you have covered a lot. All that.
I'm sorry.
All that stuff.
It's always easy to speak about how good our school is, because I generally in love with the school, with the teachers, and with the staff.
No, guys, I can confirm all that. All what you said is true. Okay, I've worked with you very closely. I mean, for 2-3 months there, working in your space there. I can confirm everything. The daylight you mentioned, the friendly environment. I really liked what you said about teacher rotation. That's very important, I think. Okay, and yes, you are really close to the students. I mean, you become friends and you create all this, friendly environment. Fantastic. Okay, next question now by Chloe Hadziyaneli from Greece. So Chloe is asking, do you offer online courses? Also, do you offer online thematic courses for advanced students? For example, courses about literature, art, history, etc.
Okay, online courses. Well, we have online courses as a part of our general Russian course. Some students take them after they finish their offline courses here at the school, just to keep going and not to forget what they have learned over their course here, and then so to be ready for their next course next year. And other students opt to get the online courses as their warm-up before they come to St. Petersburg to make most of their course here. So if they have some basic knowledge, they just want to know where they are exactly, and just warm up before the course. The question that you mentioned now, the thing is that online course is always one-to-one. So it's a teacher and a student working together on the student's Russian. As any one-to-one course, online course is fully custom tailored. The student should mention what are his main priorities. For some students, that's grammar. For some students, that's speaking competence. And for some students, they have a specific interest, especially if the student is advanced in Russian. Then when I, as a director of studies, when I see that request on studying Russian literature, music, politics, science, things like this, then I just assign the teacher who has an additional specialization or additional capacity or capability of teaching things like this, that who is good in Russian literature or who is specifically good in Russian philosophy. With about around 30 teachers that I have here in St. Petersburg, I have teachers with double degrees in different things, starting from neurology, philosophy, of course, literature and music, and some other interesting things that you can't even think about. So when I have a request from a student to have online course in Russian with an accent or with a specific focus on something else, of course, I will assign the right teacher, and then the student and the teacher, they can discuss together what they're working on. And then, of course, the teacher will get prepared and he will teach the sort of Russian that the student needs. Of course, we will do that. And of course, we already have an experience of teaching things like this. Some of them are really interesting. Like there's a student who studies Russian online with a specific focus on fishing and hunting.
Wow.
Because he comes to Kamchatka Peninsula to hunt or to fish, and he needs that specific vocabulary and specific language to be able to communicate with the locals there who are not fluent in English or any other foreign languages.
Okay, amazing.
This is, yeah, and another online student is studying European and Russian studies at her university, and she is thinking about doing her thesis in Russian. So she needs the academic Russian, the academic written Russian, and there are ways of teaching things like this online as well. And so we can cater to any needs, especially with online courses that are always one-to-one.
Awesome, fantastic, I love that. Right, next question, Nadia. Pablo from Madrid. What is the cost of living in St. Petersburg? And do you also provide accommodation? Oh, I think that you covered that. You said that you do provide accommodation.
Okay. Yeah, I can give brief information about this.
Yeah.
Of course, the school provides accommodation. Students who are beginners, usually they opt for homestay. This is language studying wise thing, because host families are nice families around the school. So the maximum travel time to school is about 45 minutes. But that's the maximum. Usually we can find a family within 20 minutes walk distance from school. And host families are good because that's your source of real day Russian. And some of the host families, of course, they do speak some English or German, but they are really eager to help students get to know Russian so they can start talking Russian from the very first minute. And then our host families are a source of the real life vocabulary. So something that we sometimes don't teach at school. I mean, we go into different foods, but, well, names of the dishes, sometimes we don't really teach them. And then the host family does it for us. And of course, a lot of questions, and there's a way of practicing so students can practice at home. The cost of accommodation with a host family is 210 if you stay on B&B, bed and breakfast.
Okay.
280 with half board.
Okay, that's euros. That's euros a month.
That's euros per week.
Per week. Okay.
That's euros per week. Of course, all the families are selected. They are, well, we visit them, and we really rely on these people. They are our apprentices in teaching Russian.
Yeah.
They help us teach Russian. Another option for people who prefer a bit more independently, and also for students who still live with their families at home, and they really want to break free a little bit while they're studying in St. Petersburg, we have shared flats for our students. That's a 3 or 4 bedroom apartments, centrally located, all within walking distance from school. And then students are sharing bathroom and other amenities, the kitchen. So every student has a single room, and then they share a kitchen and they can exchange experience. Well, we try to accommodate students of different native languages into one shared flat, so that the exchange will be in Russian mostly. But a lot of students opt for this thing, and this is 210 euros per week, no meals.
Okay, very
Students
nice.
cook for themselves. Of course, the school offers other types of accommodation. We can help you rent your own apartment, or we can also help you get a hotel room. Of course, the prices depend on the apartment price, but this is another option for advanced students who are, well, confident in their Russian, and they want to practice living in Russia as a local. Then they go on for apartment. Of course, St. Petersburg a lot of accommodation, independent accommodation. Of course, the prices range, and you have to book early, especially with World Cup coming next year.
Exactly. So Nadya,
And talking about that, what's the question also about the living costs?
it was, yeah. So I mean, can you tell me approximately? I mean, how much? I mean, I'm looking to spend on a monthly basis in St. Petersburg. I mean, of course,
Okay.
that depends, but can you give me just an idea?
Sure. I mean, if the students study at school like for 4 hours a day, so they occupied. So that what leaves is like a lunch, a dinner, and some fun.
Yeah.
So lunch and dinner and fun would be about, well, top 2,000 rubles a day, which is about, well, you can calculate that about maybe 30 or 40 euros.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
30, 40 euros
this would
a day.
be, yeah, but that's top. I mean, you don't really dine that expensive every night.
Yeah.
And you don't really lunch that expensive every night, and you don't go to the theater every day.
Yeah.
But that's like an average day. It can be the top of this.
Okay.
So you have a nice dinner in a fancy place. You have nice lunch with your schoolmates, probably somewhere. You have a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
And then you have, you go to cinema, or you go to a museum.
Yeah.
That all included. So like 30 euros about this, that's more than enough.
Yeah.
There would be days that you will spend times less.
I agree. Very nice. Okay, let's move to the next question then.
Sure.
Angela Goodwin from England, Canterbury. What is the most difficult aspect for an English learner, and how would you overcome that? Especially for English learners.
British.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Interesting question. Okay, good news. British have no troubles with pronunciation. It really surprises us as teachers, but Brits speak better Russian in terms of pronunciation than Americans do.
Wow. Can you explain me more? Why? Why is that?
We don't know. It is really strange, but well, I mean, there are differences between British accent and American accent, and I'm really not going deep into phonetics. That it seems like those differences really affect the Russian pronunciation.
Wow.
So with Brits, at I would say at level B1.
Yeah.
Me as a teacher, I don't have any complaints about pronunciation.
Wow.
With Americans, I can hear that the guy or the girl comes from the States, up into C1.
Okay.
No one knows why, but that's just good news for Brits. And
Okay.
just a little bit challenge for Americans.
Good news,
Okay.
Angela. Good news.
Yeah, the good news. Okay, bad news. Of course, there are aspects in Russian grammar that English natives are lucky to never have met before. Like, well, our notorious verbs of motion and aspects of the words, of the verb, like verbal aspect.
Yeah.
These are things that, well, they need some time to settle in for, well, English natives, because they're just not familiar with this kind of aspect in their own language. But if you think about Spanish, I mean, of course, the Spanish grammar is different from Russian, but it is also complex, and there are things that you never see in English grammar. So if you can manage Spanish, and most of Brits can do it, or French, then just Russian is a bit challenging. That's true. And there are some things that they need, as I said, time to settle in, time for comprehension, time to become your own. Like the grammar that you're using, it's like inside you. You're not taking it from the books to build a sentence, but it comes naturally. Of course, it takes time. But what's interesting about Russian grammar is that if you really master it, it also opens the access to the Russian, I would say, mentality. Because Angelos, you're a good Russian speaker, very advanced. You can understand that the difference between imperfective lays somewhere in Russian mentality, not solely on a grammar level. So once you master it, you will get a real insight into what we Russians are really thinking, and how does our life reflect the language, and the language reflects the life. And that's really, I really am jealous of people who are studying Russian grammar from the perspective of other languages speakers. I'm really jealous, because that really opens you the gates to understanding us Russians.
Awesome, Nadia. I loved what you said. It's the first time someone mentioned something like this. And while you were talking, I was thinking. I mean, yes, it's true regarding the perfective and imperfective verbs. It's totally
Russian mentality.
Yes, it is. It is associated. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you talk about the verbs of motion. They are notorious. People hate them, but when you master them, you have such a great tool of expressing exactly what you mean. And sometimes you can read between the lines, because it's like it lays on different levels. Russian grammar, it is complex, it is difficult, it is maddening at times. Of course it is. And we absolutely appreciate the effort that our students do with the grammar, because, well, we understand how important it is. Of course, we're lucky, we're native speakers, we don't think about it, we just use it. But why do we use exactly this grammar lays deeper in our mentality. It's not in the grammar books.
Awesome point, Nadia. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, next one now. Hernan Davis, San Francisco. Okay, from England to US now. So what sort of results can a beginner achieve after 3 months? I mean, when they are on an intensive study program. Okay, so I'm a total beginner. After 3 months, what's my level? My competence in Russian.
Okay, so intensive group for us, that means 20 hours in a standard group every morning, plus 5 hours in a mini group intensive, and these 5 hours a week are split between 2 afternoons, like Tuesday and Thursday, 2.5 hours each afternoon.
Okay.
What we usually do for intensive course is you move with the group, just follow the course with the group, follow the syllabus, and in these 5 extra hours, we don't really go in-depth grammar, because we don't want to be faster than the group, but we go in-depth vocabulary. And we also do more language practice. So we let our students speak, because if they want to practice more, that's their chance. In the afternoon, the group is smaller, and there are few of the students who take intensive course compared to those who take standard course. So they have the chance to speak and practice all that they've studied early in the morning. That's the intensive course. So intensive course, 3 months, I'm talking about 300 hours. 100 in a month, 300 hours in total.
That's really an immersion program, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And of course, it depends on your capacity and your language aptitude. How do you study languages? It depends, and this is a personal thing. But you should definitely expect that you will be A2. You may be aiming at A2 plus, and just to take it from letters into real life. This is more than survival, of course. This level gives you an opportunity to be involved in conversations with native speakers on almost any topic. You will understand more than you can say, that's true, but you will be able to express your point of view in almost every situation, and you will be able to do some narrative, so you can tell a story of your life or what you've experienced yesterday. And by this time, you would have covered most basic grammar. So there will be actually nothing grammar-wise that you don't understand. The thing of using it's another thing, but you will have all the grammar background you need. And what's good about this level, about A2 plus, it's where we stop doing the grammar and we switch to syntax. So we switch to different ways of expressing different feelings, like doubt, regret. It's like it becomes more emotional. But you can expect to be in A2, and then A2 plus is a good goal. And this is 300 hours. And this is intensive, of course, but you have to understand how complex Russian is. So maybe in other languages, this will move you to B1, but not really in Russian. But this will be a time spent really interesting. That's for sure. I can guarantee that. And then this would be also a very rewarding experience, because coming to another country as a complete beginner without even having seen a Cyrillic letter, and then when you leave in 3 months, you feel more or less adjusted to it. You're not scared on the streets anymore, because you can understand more or less a lot of things that people are talking about. And then you will definitely stop using any other languages, English, when ordering at a restaurant, looking for something at the market, asking girl out, or just, being involved in the conversation with the barman. You can, discuss really complex matters, like you can discuss politics, you can talk about sport, you can, do things like this. You can, as I said, you can propose to a girl, actually, using A2 plus. And of course, you can date a Russian girl on this level of Russian. And you can also read some Russian literature, not classics, but, adapted classics. Yes, you can do.
Definitely.
You can watch Russian soap opera, not really the real movie, but the soap opera, the TV show, you definitely can watch.
Absolutely.
And this is a good level to have this confidence that you can go on a self-study. Like, having finished these 300 hours, then you have the tools, the capacity, and you have the confidence in language to be able to continue on your own with a teacher overseas, or with a tandem in language, or with something else.
Exactly. Awesome, fantastic. Okay, next one, Nadya. Marilyn Keyline. Does the school provide health insurance? Okay, so somebody who spends there 3 months, okay,
Okay.
What do they have to do in terms of health insurance?
Okay. Usually the health insurance comes as a requirement for the visa
Yeah, that's true.
for most of the students. So it usually is required by visa. Of course, it depends on the nationality and the visa regime of that country you're coming from and Russia. But usually with kind of long-term students that are coming here for 3 months or more, that's definitely required by the visa.
Hmm.
So you have to take care of it in your home country. And usually it is cheaper actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then if you're coming for a short stay, then the health insurance is not required by the visa institution, but it's highly advisable that you have it, and you just get a travel insurance, travel health insurance.
Okay.
It's worth buying anyway, because it's not just that the Russian medical services are expensive, they are not. But if you have an insurance, then you are guaranteed to get the best service possible and also have access to all the latest technology that sometimes the Russians don't do.
Yeah.
So our clinics that serve foreigners, they have the best equipment. But as Angelos knows himself, if something happens, you can still get help for free. And sometimes it is a nice experience when learning Russian, of course, if it's a minor problem. So the health insurance is highly advisable and highly recommended. And it's better to get it in your home country,
Yeah.
not in Russia, because once you're in Russia, you can't really get the good rate for it.
Yeah, I mean, I had an experience, as you know, and you were laughing with me, guys, because you thought that I was involved in a fight when you.
Exactly. I know that's a stereotype, but still, I mean, a young, handsome guy turns after school with, the bruise right on his eye. What should we think? He gets
Exactly.
drunk and then he gets beaten.
Exactly.
But it was the opposite. Angelos was testing the typical Russian fun. It's like ice skating without skates.
Exactly. Exactly.